When it comes to like the first phone call the music industry makes to get into the gaming space, it's game over.
Wow.
Yeah, so like recent artists that we've worked with, I mean, Doja Cat, Big Sean, T Grizzly, Kodak, Lil Uzi. I mean, you know.
Yeah, you name it.
A ton of them, right?
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Journey Podcast. If you are here, please subscribe, like, drop a comment. Joined by cousin Jake.
Oh, hello. How you doing?
How we doing? This episode is brought to you by Evermore. Unfortunately, we do not have any Evermore with us. We are in Los Angeles, and our shipment got here today. We were already out, so we don't have any with us.
Imagine we're drinking it. It's good. It's delicious. Store locator, evermore.com.
Yeah, go to evermore.com.
Dak
Prescott just signed with Evermore, so that's huge for them.
There we
go. Very special guest today. This morning, got connected with a gentleman who has done a lot in his life, has created some really cool things. Thank you for Anthony Pisano for joining us today.
Thank you guys.
Pisano.
Thanks for coming through so last minute.
Yeah, of course,
bro. Of course.
Yeah, that's just how we do it, you know? We just rip and run, bro. Like, we get the call. We're like, you said 4 o'clock. We're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So, started DJing, right? So I'm gonna like, I don't know too much about your story, but like, from what if I give an Instagram glance and a Google look up, we got DJ, successful DJ, comes to LA, DJs all these crazy parties, starts all these crazy fucking businesses, starts your own company, Game Over Talent, which is a fusion of gaming, technology, and music, which just sounds fucking cool. And then we're in your penthouse. It's fucking insane. You go to your Instagram, there's videos of you DJing with, was it YG? Was it?
YG, you know, FaZe Rug.
Ty Dolla $ign.
Meeting Wiz Khalifa, so.
Yeah, you're on the phone. You're doing an F1 activation with Ferrari. You know, you're doing cool shit, bro. So, one, thanks for coming on our podcast. It means a lot. And then two, I guess give our audience a little bit more of an intro into you, I guess.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for the brief introduction. You know, as far as like an IG synopsis, I think that was pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Man. So I started DJing when I was in high school. I grew up in New Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia.
That's why we were connected, because New Jersey, I'm Long Island. I remember. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So started DJing a bit in high school. Learned from a very close family friend. In the summers, I used to go to Florida where my dad lived, and I would learn how to DJ. I learned how to DJ from one of my close friends at the time, and went back to Jersey for my senior year, and ended up going to college right outside of Miami at Florida Atlantic University.
Okay.
So
real quick, why did you start learning how to DJ? Like, what was it about DJing?
You know what it was? It was like I would be in high school, and I would be the one like playing songs at like the parties from like Winamp or Napster or whatever,
right.
LimeWire, whatever we were rocking with at that time. We were downloading music for free.
Frostwire, LimeWire.
And like, you know, they'd be like, dude, like let Pisano like do his thing with the computer. Like, he's always playing dope stuff. And I don't know, it always kind of stuck with me. And then having that influence of my really close friend teaching me how to DJ on records and vinyl and turntables. I, then went to Miami at FAU for college.
Fire.
Started throwing college parties at like a sushi spot, and next thing you know, there was like 1,000 kids in line, and I was, DJing all over South Florida. Got a residency at Live when it first opened up in Miami, and that was like the first big break, is being a resident there. Then I started getting booked all over the world. All over the country. I had residencies at like One Oak in New York.
Really?
Chicago, Studio Paris, LA, Miami, all over. Then I started making music with a couple homies of mine. We started a group called Brass Knuckles. We ended up having some friends that would come to LA and be like, dude, you guys should like, really come out here and like kind of catch a vibe. We had a studio right outside of our college in Boca Raton, and we were just like making music nonstop. And I was basically, I was in Barcelona on tour, and I heard a sample in a coffee shop that ended up being our first big single. So that came out, got a lot of traction. And then we came to LA.
We're back.
All right, we're back.
My bad, guys. My bad.
No, you're good. All right, yeah. So you were talking about you were in Barcelona on tour.
Yeah, I was in Barcelona. I was in a coffee shop. It was the beginning of Spotify. It wasn't even in the U.S. yet. They were playing these R&B songs, and at the time, dance music was like super feel good. Like Avicii was coming out with really great stuff. The Bingo Players. So I was super inspired by like that soulful, feel good house sound.
Is that
progressive.
What
it was progressive. It was feel good. It was it was a faster tempo than what's been.
It's like dark now, right? It's like.
I mean, techno is really big right now. There's still like piano house stuff, but like the genre of dance music right now is getting a lot faster.
Yeah.
You're starting to see like way higher tempos than what we've seen over the last 10 years. But yeah, I mean, got a little lucky, got inspired, found a really dope sample that turned into a really big song for my group at the time. We parlayed that into coming to LA. And that was when Airbnb was like first up and going. So we Airbnb'd a place, had a couple meetings, and got really lucky. Got a hit song within a month being out here, which, if you look back on it, you're like, wow, because super rare for that to happen. I mean, I've been in LA for 10 years, and it's hard to even come close to getting a song like that in the short amount of time that we were here for. So that was a big blessing for us. And 2 months later, we got a record deal with Ultra and Sony Music and toured for about 4 or 5 years after that.
Wow. What was the name of your group?
It was called Brass Knuckles.
Brass Knuckles.
What was the song?
It was called Bad Habits.
Have I heard it?
Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was really popular in like 2012, 13, 14.
Yeah.
Like 2011 to 15, 16, that was when we were touring heavily.
Wow.
So you come out here, you Airbnb a spot, you guys get the song. Is that a song that like changes your life?
It did.
Yeah.
It did change my life, yeah.
Wow. What does that feel like? Because obviously we were speaking off camera how the people that you've been around, sometimes they're not able to sustain that once they make it to a certain level. Was this like a thing for you? Like, this changes my reality of my life? Like, was it like adding fuel to the fire rather than getting complacent like you made it?
No, it was definitely adding fuel to the fire. I wouldn't say we made it at that point, but it was the next chapter of my career. I mean, I went from being like an open format club DJ in Miami to playing major festivals around the world and headlining big venues around the country and around the world. So it definitely like leveled us up. I wouldn't say like we made like a crazy amount of money off the project, but it opened up a tremendous amount of doors. The networking that we were able to do worldwide was really awesome, and it was definitely a big stepping stone for my career.
Yeah. So you go from this place, you're DJing, open format, starting out these places. You get a hit song. Speak to me financially. Life is much better now financially for you?
I mean, we were a group of 3.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to being in a group, having an agent, management, having a label involved, I mean, things are, at the time, I mean, we were doing really well. But again, it's like you have a whole team that also needs to get paid, and there's 3 people in the group. So, I mean, it was definitely like a good run, but it's challenging when there's that many people involved, obviously.
So then post, how far do you take DJing?
So I mean, I still DJ to this day. It's just like now I'm very selective on what I do. Like I'm not going to be flying 150,000 miles a year like I used to be. It's more like, when like the Hoobie guys asked me to DJ at David Dobrik's house with J Balvin or Snoop recently, it's like, I'm gonna pull up. I'm definitely gonna pull up.
That makes sense.
Like the Ferrari stuff. Like I'm very selective on like what I do. It has to make sense. I have a full-fledged business now.
Yeah.
That takes up, 16 hours of my day.
Yeah.
So I have to be very mindful of that and make sure that my focus is like fully on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was it easy? Now, so talk about the transition from DJing into entrepreneurship, the gaming industry and stuff like that. And like, what was that like letting go of almost, I guess, your baby? It was like the thing that changed your life. For him, he was a football player. I was a basketball player. At some point we had to let it go. It hurts, but like, you kind of ran that well dry. So what was that moment for you where you transitioned over outside of DJing to this gaming industry?
So I always was an entrepreneur, DJ or not. Like when I was in college, I was throwing the party that just so happened that I DJ'd, and then I was like, when we did the group, I was the one that was like heavily in the marketing side of it and the one that was more on the business side of it, but was also a creative too.
Right.
So when I transitioned out of my record deal, I met FaZe Blaze. He came into my studio one day and like was really just like liking what I was, making at the time. And FaZe Blaze was a part of, he still is a part of FaZe Clan, which is like one of the biggest esports brands in the space.
Yeah.
And at the time they were scorching hot. His engagement was through the roof. Like all of their engagement was just insane. I personally at that time haven't seen many creators with that much engagement, and it was almost comparable to a major, like an A-list major label artist.
Wow.
Crazy.
So, he wanted to make some music, and I was like, listen, like, you have an insane audience. Like, let's try some stuff out. So we started putting out music, started getting success with his streaming numbers, with the viewership on his YouTube channel. There was a lot of interest from, all types of creators that are songwriters, producers that we were bringing in and working with him. And we were just testing out different ways to market music within the gaming space. Using the different creators of FaZe Clan, FaZe Rug, and FaZe Adapt, and FaZe Rain. I mean, all these guys that were very consistent at the time. And doing some really cool stuff within Fortnite, because that was like the biggest game.
Right.
That was super popular. This was like 2018 time, 2017 to 2019.
Right.
So so we just started getting creative and started doing things that were basically pretty cutting edge as far as marketing goes at the time. And
what are you marketing? You're marketing FaZe Blaze's songs, or is like Little Baby coming to you and saying, "Can you help me market this?"
At
song
the time, we were testing and putting out FaZe Blaze's music, which did really well for an artist. Then it started to take shape with the major labels asking, "Okay, what are you doing here?" And the first major label campaign I did was with NBA YoungBoy in Atlantic.
Wow.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's pretty crazy.
And at the time, it was
Does
like...
that sound crazy coming out of your mouth? Or no? Are you just so fucking used to this shit by now?
I mean, I've been in entertainment my entire life. From like back with my my parents, like my dad was like in the casino business.
Right.
So like I literally grew up around a lot of different high profile people, celebrities and stuff. I got a little lucky there. Took a dive into the gaming space, which I've been gaming my whole life ultimately.
Yeah.
And just been lucky enough to find a great partner like Blaze to kind of ride this wave with into the gaming space. That's where like the transition was so natural and organic.
Yeah.
That we were able to put together a campaign like YoungBoy and FaZe Clan at the time, which was like the perfect storm because YoungBoy was like new, hot, scorching, and so was FaZe. So like when you put those two things together, it was a super successul campaign, which then opened up a lot of other doors within the Atlantic system. And then, boom, the pandemic hits like 4 months later. And then from there, that's when the company really started to take shape and grow and scale, different members of the team. And, now we're doing, so much crazy stuff. It's been really exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because for a lot of businesses, the pandemic killed them. It put people out of business. For you guys, I'm guessing it enhanced it because everyone was home. More people are on social media. More people are on their phones. More people are gaming. More eyes are just being on the internet at all times. So
that was exactly it. I mean, when we talked about like when you asked me the transition from DJing to to Game Over, I had no choice really, because my DJ gig stopped.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, which was a big blessing for me, I was fully laser focused on one thing, which I think took me a while to understand. You know, juggling too many things is never going to work out, you know? So that was the one thing, and it was a blessing in disguise where, okay, I'm laser focused on one thing. I'm going to put all my time and energy on this. I'm locked in my apartment by myself, basically, and was on Zoom calls, 16 hours a day,
right,
and figuring it out, and just grinding as much as I could during the pandemic.
Yeah. I want to ask you, bro, maybe a little personal, but, from what your story, you're speaking to me about all of the success. And I know we only have fucking X amount of time, but we almost have like a running joke with us. We just did this podcast with this doctor, and it was great, bro. It was a great podcast, but we kind of looked at each other, and we still felt unfulfilled when we looked at each other, we're out here in LA, we're fucking putting everything on the line, but it just feels like some way, somehow, there's so much friction. We haven't had that hit song. We haven't had that hit moment. We haven't met FaZe Blaze in the studio. What were some of the challenges, I guess, bro, coming up? Were you meted with like a tremendous amount of adversity at any point during this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the wins, but
Right.
That transition from getting out of my record deal into basically having to start over. Like, you just put so much time and energy into a group, right? And tasted success, but didn't really get to that next level of where it's like, okay, like I'm good for the next 20 years of my life because I'm financially chilling from the last 5 years of touring, making X amount of dollars each year, whatever.
Yeah.
So, I got to a point after that brass knuckles period where I kind of had to reflect back on like why this didn't work, and it gets deep. It gets really deep as far as like, how you approach relationships, how you even pick people to do business with, and I think at that age I was very immature as far as like the vices of what the DJ lifestyle can bring.
Right.
So I invested into therapy I went for about 3 years straight. Luckily enough, got an incredible therapist that changed my life and really dove deep into my upbringing and why I was doing certain things that I was doing, and wasn't fair to certain people in my life, wasn't fair to myself. Yeah. And that was the thing that really altered the trajectory of where I'm at today.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things in therapy maybe that you did learn specifically? Because I was one that I was always told you should go. I lost my mom when I was very young. So they tried to force that on me, like go speak to someone. I was always against it because I was like, I don't feel comfortable going to talk to someone who didn't know me, who didn't know my mom, and she's supposed to like tell me like how to feel. So that's why I was always against it. But now as I get older, I've heard such good things about it. So like, what was that for you? Like, because it seems up until that point, I mean, you were DJing, you're from New Jersey.
I mean, I was running wild. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was,
rodeo,
I was moving 1,000,000 miles an hour. Like it just didn't stop ever, right? And back when the pandemic happened, actually, like I was around thousands of every weekend. You're DJing for thousands of people. And then the pandemic hits, and you're like by yourself, and you're like looking around every day. You're like, dude, this is like the pause that I actually needed. Yeah. But back to your question, I think everyone needs therapy in some shape or form, everyone has a different reality of what happened to them from when they were kids, on how they were brought up, a death of a parent. I mean, that's a very, very challenging thing to get through mentally. And it affects you older. I grew up with an alcoholic father. So that causes certain things to, it causes certain things to be affected by when you're an adult. Yeah. Luckily, my dad has been sober now for 30 plus years. He's the man, one of the coolest guys ever. And because of that, I'm able to do what I do today. But again, like, no disrespect to him, he's fully aware of the reality of these things. But like, my biggest issue and why I went to therapy, there's multiple reasons, but the biggest thing that I was doing wrong was not properly communicating. So I would hold things in. When it came to personal relationships, when it came to my business relationships, it would like be held in and then bottle up, and then it'd be like an explosion some days, right? Yeah. So when I was able to learn how to properly communicate, like now I'm at the point where it's like I can't let things just linger. If there's an issue with one of my employees, my business partners, my fiance, I'm like, no, we're gonna talk about this right this second. Like I'm like programmed now where like I can't let shit linger for 5 minutes. And it helps me in every aspect of my life. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to even be engaged to my fiance, who's the best thing that's ever happened to me, if I wasn't able to properly communicate, express my feelings, all the above.
Yeah. So you're getting married?
I'm getting married next year.
Wow. God bless, man.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, why her?
Man, why not, right? Nah, she's from the East Coast. She's 100% Italian.
Is she in the scene?
No, she's got her own tech business. Beautiful. She grew up in a family outside of New York City. Like, they're from Jersey City.
Okay.
And 70-year-old trucking business. So her and her cousin created a tech platform that automates the supply chain and logistics field. Extremely dope.
Savage.
Every time you walk in a room, like, she lights up a room.
Yeah.
She's personable to everybody, incredible energy, and like, she's a boss. So yeah. I'm extremely lucky to have someone like that in my corner.
Right. And then how like, I guess for you, we haven't tasted that like LA thing yet, like the scene.
I imported her, by the way. I had to bring her here.
Yeah. Because
I couldn't deal with the LA girls anymore.
Why?
Do I need to explain? Do I really need to dive into that? I mean, I don't know. It's like, there's amazing girls in LA. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, I grew up on the East Coast. Like, there's not many Italian girls here. So, right. I mean, I kind of know what I want, but like, she just hits all the check boxes. And it was like one of those things where we just like hung out and haven't left our side since, right? So I don't want to talk down on any LA girls. I love LA girls.
Yeah, of course. But then if you're importing, right, like something, if you're importing love here, right, that's important, bro. Like, love is probably the most important thing in the world, and you had to search outside of LA to find it. Do you only live here for the connections, or do you live here because you genuinely love it as well?
I live here for all the above.
Yeah.
I love LA.
Yeah.
I came to LA, and like I said, I haven't stopped grinding since the day I landed. And I'm not here for the bullshit of LA. I'm here for everything that LA offers. My type of personality, my creativity, my work ethic, I like definitely connect with a lot of people on a mental level here. That's the main thing that keeps me here. Obviously, I left my entire family. It's just me here now my fiance, but I mean, the weather and the city itself, I mean, it's beautiful. We all know that.
Yeah, of course.
But I've been lucky to meet some incredible people here. Yeah. And I've got great business partners and just around extremely smart people. So that's really been like what's kept me here.
Yeah. I want to also, kind of dive back into your story, because I feel like we didn't even get into
game over.
Yeah, game over after the FaZe Blaze thing. So like, what's next steps after that, and then how did this game over talent progress?
So, yeah, I mean, I found like a niche in a very crowded space. So when it comes to like the first phone call the music industry makes, it's to get into the gaming space, it's game over.
Wow.
Yeah. So like recent artists that we've worked with, I mean, Doja Cat, Big Sean, T Grizzly, Kodak,
Jesus.
Lil Uzi. I mean,
Yeah, you name it.
A ton of them, right? So now we're really focusing on like building gaming solutions, gaming tech solutions for the music industry. So we created like a Twitch listening party experience. That's what we just did with Doja, which is like a first of its kind.
Oh, fire! Like if she drops an album, there'll be like a whole Twitch stream going on about it.
We have we had like 10 Twitch streamers. We built a game over plugin that sits on stream and plays the album. Wow. We have like chatbots running and banners and all that stuff. So
fuck yeah.
Yeah, so we've been like doing a ton of testing with that and really like building out these products now for artists and the music business.
Wow. What's been your coolest experience with a specific artist, celebrity that you guys have worked with? Like, is there one moment that you were like this shit is pretty cool what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a bunch of stuff, but like one night we did a party at the Game Over House with Lil Yachty and Young Chris, and we did a party where we invited a bunch of like big creators and gamers,
of course,
and they shot a music video, and it just kind of like that was kind of like the stamp of approval of like what we were doing was clicking.
Yeah,
because the amount of content that went viral from that night, it was on like every hip hop blog.
Right.
The amount of impressions that we did from that event alone was just insane. So the combination of like really blending the culture, that's what it is. It's like the music and gaming space is like such an insane marriage at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really been utilized to the fullest extent. So that's what Game Over is. It's that company that really brings those two worlds together at the highest level, whether it's Twitch campaigns, custom content, whether it's building Fortnite experiences. Now we have we just launched our game studio. So that's like that was like 3 months ago. So now we're in talks with a lot of incredible projects on building these worlds out in Fortnite. Like not many people understand the power of what Fortnite is transitioning to. It's like early day YouTube.
I have a question for you. Might be stupid, might be a bad question, but I'm a huge Optic gaming fan. I just grew up Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, Optic Scump. Optic Hex is like spray painting Xboxes back in the day. And also, I'm just still a huge fan of COD. Like we bet. What is it?
Fucking I was betting on Prize Picks for the Call of Duty Championship.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, like you could take the over/unders. So I'm making a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole nother combo that is coming in the future, I'm sure.
Let's go.
Well, like betting on gaming and stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
wow.
Fire. So now, Optic, man, I just feel like I don't think in gaming. They've always been like number one. I feel like just from a diehard fan base standpoint, like when they play, like let's say they play Call of Duty, everybody boos FaZe, everybody fucking cheers Optic. I understand in a culture standpoint, people love FaZe. Although now that's kind of what I want to get into is from what I understand, a lot of like hardcore gamers, there was a little bit of pushback signing all of these musicians and athletes into the gaming community. How do you view the integration of culture into gaming? Do gamers want that? Is there a way to do it harmoniously?
There is. I mean, as long as it's genuine and not forced, I think you can get away with it. I mean, you've seen really great collaborations with Marshmello into the gaming space.
Yep, right.
Even T Grizzly.
Yeah.
We worked with him early on, from 2020. We were like seeding his music into content, and then FaZe Blaze was streaming with him a ton, pushing all that viewership to his channel, doing YouTube content with him. We got him on The Lab, which is a show we produced out for TBS.
Fire.
It was like a music and gaming show that we had like Logic, Murda Beats, all these big artists that have gaming affiliation.
Right.
And he's a prime example of like, grinding out the gaming space. He makes $100,000 a month plus probably.
He streams?
He has the RP world.
He streams. He's got the RP world,
GTA,
and that's another thing that we're trying to educate the labels constantly in. Having artists lean into this space because it's a whole new realm for them, a whole new revenue source, a whole new fan base that can discover their music, buy their merch. What people don't understand is that gaming aficionados are gamers that game more than 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
Those gamers are twice as likely to listen to your music, twice as likely to buy your merch, buy your tour tickets. Yeah. So there's just so much data coming out on how sticky the fan base is. Yeah. And that's where we come in and educate the music industry and taking those swings.
Right, yeah. Right. Yeah, I guess you can see it from both sides, because even back like during that era, like you were talking about 2014, 15, when like FaZe was really like popping, we lived in Long Island. That was when FaZe had a content house in Plainview.
That was it.
That was the OG with FaZe, Adapt, Sensei, Temper. Like they all used to come to the LA Fitness I used to play at. I didn't know none of us knew who they were. I was a hooper, so like all the basketball players would come there. They would come play with all the college hoopers, and like they were okay, you know what I'm saying? But like they weren't like real hoopers. But nobody knew who they were. And then years later, looking back, I'm like, yo, these guys are huge. Like I could have made connections with them. I'm kind of pissed off I didn't. I would play with them every Monday night. But what I'm getting into is back then, like if you joined FaZe, like overnight, it was 100,000 subscribers. They knew you were good because you had to be elite to be in FaZe. Yep. Now, like the drawback is like, oh, they're signing Bronny, they're signing Yachty, they're signing these guys. Now it's like when you are an actual like Call of Duty player, like you don't get that same publicity that you used to get, because it's like now they don't know if you are like that good or that viral, I guess, or entertaining.
Let's go look at that.
Yeah, so it's like it's almost different. Taking away from the actual Call of Duty competitive gameplay. I guess that's how I can see it from the FaZe diehard fans. I'm not, but I just outside looking in.
I mean, what some people fail to acknowledge today is that their esports teams are actually like crushing. Yeah, like they're actually like super competitive.
Oh no, they're nasty.
And winning big tournaments. Right. Like they just won a massive one in Australia, like I think last month.
Wow.
But the game has changed, bro. Like this stuff changes with the game and the viewership. Like they came up at a time when Call of Duty was the elite game. Trick shotting was everything. Right. And then Fortnite came, and then they had to adapt. Right. They signed a bunch of big Fortnite guys to FaZe, Sway, and all these cats that were just top of class. Right. And then the pandemic hits. Gaming viewership is at an all-time high. Yeah. And then Call of Duty comes out. They failed the last three releases. Yeah. And it's a ripple effect across the entire business when these games are not good. Yeah. And if the community's not embracing them, the viewership plummets. Right. These big streamers' viewership goes down a ton. And I feel like to blend that youth culture, FaZe has done it the best out of all the different orgs, they've been able to sustain, I think, a lot better than most of them, even though they've had such a crazy past year between going public and now selling to Game Square, which, I'm rooting for FaZe Clan. Yeah. I'm rooting for FaZe Clan because the dudes, all the dudes, the original founders, they're actually all really good kids. They're really dope dudes. They just got into an unfortunate situation with some bad people, bad players, and they were too young to really understand, I feel like, ultimately, right? Yeah. So personally, I've always done a tremendous amount of work with FaZe Clan, and I'm rooting for them to really turn the ship around because I think the whole gaming space needs it. I think we need to see, I really want to see them succeed again because they deserve that.
Yeah. Are you familiar with any of, because like while a lot of that was going on, like when they went public and everything, I was heavily watching like FaZe Rain at the time, and when he was talking about Banks. Are you familiar with anything of that? Like, did you look into that at all? Watch that, like this, like the, because
I mean, I've met with Rain many times. Yeah, he's he's an extremely intelligent kid. Yeah. But just like it happens, people go through phases. I've watched him battle back to being able to walk again and get through the episode that he got through, and I think he's he's lucky that he's in the position that he is, being able to get through all that trauma and that he did to himself. Yeah. But I think he's learned a lot, and hopefully with a lot of self growth, he could turn it around, which I think he is.
Yeah.
What do you like about like you know, as a New Jersey guy, I'm sure you're used to people being very real. How do people out here compare to what you're used to back home?
I mean, it's definitely night and day. I mean, I'm the type, like, again, like I said earlier, I'm the type to confront.
I just want advice because we don't even know.
I'm just saying, like, you know, like, just be respectful, but, you know, I'm not one to sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
If there's something going on, I'm going to call you right away. I'm not going to let it linger, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
Like,
do you feel like people are just using others out here? Like, is that an energy, or is that over?
I mean, it's like, if you have something to offer, then, you know, like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have anything to offer out here, it's tough to even get people to respond to your text messages or your emails.
Yeah.
That's just the game, huh?
It's just
Why else-
has to
why
be a
else would
value
you be out here?
exchange. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like why else?
Like,
would you
when
be
I
out
was a
here?
music producer and you know, pitching songs and trying to, like, live that world, I mean, I was told no a million times out here.
Yeah.
until I figured out something for myself where people are hitting me
Responding,
up for shit
people
and
responding
responding
to it.
and doing good business and being true to my word. What I say, I do.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of motherfuckers out here just bullshit, and people that are on top of their game are not gonna fuck with that. It's really simple. Just say what you do.
Yeah.
Or do what you say, whatever.
Yeah. All right, bro. So Game Over, Champion collab. Obviously, I want to transition back to Game Over because fucking absolutely crushing it. I mean, obviously you're doing this Ferrari activation. Have you been happy with the company's progress?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, this year was definitely a transition year for us with the economy and the state of gaming. Mm-hmm. It was definitely an interesting year, but so much change to the company for the better has came on board. I brought in a ton of killers that have a ton of experience on the agency side, the gaming side. Brought in some new partners.
You're the CEO?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, founder, CEO.
So what is the ultimate goal with Game Over? Like, where do you see this going?
I mean, my ultimate goal, I have this marketing machine that's been built. You know, I want to start signing artists to kind of fit into the ecosystem, whether that's bringing them into our content, marketing their music in very interesting ways, building out Fortnite experiences, and really bringing the way that gaming content creators build community and market themselves, and bringing that into the music business on a different level. That's like part of it, you know. I'm really excited about the gaming studio aspect to it. There's going to be a lot of growth there, like what I was saying with the Fortnite creative stuff.
Yeah.
What people don't know about Fortnite now is with their new UEFN, creative mode, you're able to build your own games and build your own maps and get paid out for that. Similar to how YouTube works. Like, so, you know, how you get paid on watch time and ad rev and AdSense. That's what I meant to say, AdSense, not ad rev. That's a company I worked with that did AdSense. But so like the more people that watch your videos on YouTube, you get paid. The longer that they watch your videos, you get paid.
Right.
Similar model within Fortnite.
Wow.
If you have 15,000 people playing your game daily and they're playing it for 45 minutes, you get paid on that.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, people are starting to make 6 figures, 7 figures a month just from these maps, but it's so detailed in how it works and what works on the platform.
Yeah.
And it's just the beginning. So I think there's going to be a lot of incredible experiences on there over the next year or two.
Yeah.
And then what are you personally like most excited about? You know, what fires you up? Is it just business in general?
I mean, everything that we're doing as a whole is what, you know, gets me up out of bed, like being in this niche and kind of creating a lane that hasn't been done before. Like, everything that we do is like experimental.
Right.
Because it hasn't been done, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, coming up with the next iteration of what we're doing and bettering that is what my main focus is right now. And then obviously, you know, creating IP and building artists through the world, through the ecosystem, and like really partnering up with multi-hyphenate artists. I think that's the future of what an artist looks like. It's not the day of, hey, let's like make an album and shoot 3 music videos and then put out the music and do a tour. It's let's make content half the day and be in the studio half the day and be on Twitch and break that content down into short form and repurpose that all across platforms.
I haven't thought about that.
That's kind of what I was going to get into, because it seems like you guys are continuously, and you yourself continuously adapting to like what's going on in real life time. So obviously streaming was huge, and right now the hottest thing out right now seems like the IRL streaming, like the in real life streaming.
That's definitely like the next wave.
So you're already thinking about that?
I was just in Asia last week, and I saw so many people IRL streaming at the mall, like all types of different places.
It's crazy.
Like, Asia, when I used to tour there, it's crazy because you see things there that ended up popping off in the U.S. like a couple years later, and they've been on the IRL streaming a ton, and you're starting to see it now over the last few months become like very popular here. Some of these bigger guys are doing it. Like when I was at David Dobrik's party for Halloween, I'm sure you guys saw like the security guard like knocked a dude out in front of the house. That was like an IRL stream on his Kick channel.
Yeah, when Jack Doherty was trying to get Karina Kopf on the stream, and then the guy was sticking up for her, and everyone else saw what happened.
What did you think about that?
About
do you have an opinion on that?
On what?
On the punch?
Like, should the fucking?
Of course not. It was ridiculous.
It was so uncalled for.
So ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, that's what security guards do sometimes. They just look for that stuff, unfortunately.
He wasn't even a licensed security guard.
Does that hurt Jack Doherty's name? It has to.
Maybe.
I heard that the kid that he punched was a lawyer.
Oh.
Smart.
So
that's awesome.
Good luck to him.
Yeah, good luck to him.
Yeah, that's not good.
How does a lawyer get into that party?
I don't know, man. It's funny because
you have to be in the scene to get into those things.
It's definitely a tough list to get into.
Yeah.
Or onto. It's funny, when I was DJing, I saw these 4 kids all dressed in the same costume. They were all, I don't know if you saw on the video, but they were all dressed as like Ninja Turtles or some shit. I don't remember. Yeah. But I'm like, I see these kids like bouncing around the dance floor, like having like the time of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the next morning I see, because I didn't know that happened the same night. I saw it on No Jumper or something the next day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, dude, those were the kids that were on the dance floor, like literally having the time of their lives. Like this kid got knocked out by the security guard. Like,
Jesus, huh?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What's an in real life show? I don't even know what that is. What is
in
that?
real life streaming? So
IRL.
It's just all day. Yeah. It's just like
you just take over there.
So there would be, we would have
anywhere.
a camera guy streaming this, and then like, I would have my phone here monitoring the chat as our podcast is going.
So you just have to be entertaining like for 6 hours straight, 7 hours straight.
It's just like some of them have like these backpacks, these streaming backpacks that you could literally just stream from wherever. Just take the camera, it's all powered up in the backpack, and then.
Who's killing that right now? Who's doing
Neon, Sneeko.
Yeah, they're all doing it.
Aiden, Kai.
Yeah.
The biggest in the game. That's IRL.
Yeah.
Nelk just started it. Nelk literally just started. They're doing live pranks on IRL.
What do you think? So So is that like it? Like us, right? We have a podcast.
You should be guys. You guys like. Here's an example. For the Wiz Khalifa event we did at Game Over House.
Yeah.
The company that had the podcast, they were doing it live.
Yeah.
And they were streaming it to their YouTube channel. 10,000 people watching.
Right.
And then you take that and you could repurpose it from there.
Why not?
It's like hitting two birds with one stone.
Yeah. Right. It's crazy.
If I were you guys, I would definitely look into that.
Streaming.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now obviously you know more about that space than us. Is there, obviously Twitch was like the OG platform, but what do you recommend? Is it Twitch? Is it Kick? Is it Rumble? Like what do you think is going to be?
What do you believe most in? YouTube, you can stream on YouTube as well.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, I mean it just comes down to like where you think you could bring your audience. Like if you're coming up on YouTube and you guys have a great platform, like there's multi-streaming, where you can stream from TikTok and YouTube at the same time, or TikTok and Twitch. Like,
yep.
So it's really about like moving your audience to where you want to send traffic to. Right. Obviously, the payouts on Kick are more favorable for content creators.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I know Twitch is like coming up with new features now that they're adding like short form elements to it.
Oh, really?
it's just tough with there's no discoverability on Twitch.
Yeah.
That's the problem with Twitch. It's hard to grow an audience there.
Yeah.
But if you have audience in certain platforms like you guys are doing and you're growing, it's about figuring out, okay, maybe it's surveying your audience on like where you guys should be streaming, like what would they prefer?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Asking them questions, like seeing where you guys could really push that traffic. That's going to be the biggest thing on how or where you're going to do it.
I was gonna say, like, have you guys ever thought of potentially like doing some type of streaming platform like later down the line? Would that even be worth it for you guys? Would that be like a play?
No, I think that's a very bold endeavor.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that you're up
100
against
million.
Amazon and you're up against like
Yeah.
Kick that's backed by Stake. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
that's not really my thing, but we are building a really cool solution for music within the live streaming space, which is going to be the play that I'll be working on.
Fire.
Who do you like? You know, it's funny, bro, because now, you know, obviously, you know, he played basketball, I played football. That was the first half of our life. We're just fucking athletes.
Yep.
Content creation obviously blew up in the past. What 2015? Content creation starts getting big. Something like that.
I guess rough, right?
I guess with FaZe, like they're the first. I mean, there was the Jenna Marbles and the fucking Dom Mazzetti's. Just met him, cool guy. But there was like them on YouTube. But then all of a sudden, like the FaZe kick off, right? Like that starts
the
kicking
Nelk
off.
and all those guys, and the
And-
Logan Pauls, the Jake Pauls, yeah.
And has there been someone that now that we're really getting into it, and like I said, bro, I'm like starting to become a mad scientist, bro. I'm studying all these fucking channels, bro. I'm like analyzing hooks, titles, thumbnails, fucking everything.
Welcome to the world, man.
Yeah, I love it. Let's go.
It's challenge. The algorithm changes, then you got to like figure out
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely pivot.
what we got to do for this thumbnail now to make
Yeah.
it make sense, or you know, it's just constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Who are some people you really admire in the content space, bro? They're like really like when you looked at their stuff, you were just like almost like maybe I don't know about taken back, but just you know you're like damn like because there's so much content creators out there now, you know.
Yeah, I mean, especially like I don't know. There's like different layers to it, right? Like there's someone like FaZe Rug that's just been consistent for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's savage.
You know,
Savage.
Yeah.
just so good at what he does.
He
Has
just
his,
knows you. He knows.
has
you.
his niche, like focuses on what he does and it hasn't stopped, and you know, and it's worked for him. It's like that evergreen content that can pick up views for years, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like my homie Adam W. He's just like he's leveled up, I think, the overall production and thought process that goes into more, you know, comedic.
He does like
Type of
filmmaking
con-
type things.
He does
right?
like skits, like
Skits.
funny skits,
Yeah.
and it's just like, you know, to be that consistent and have that much original content and ideas that continuously flow to him and his team. You know, his manager Leanne's a really close friend, so shout out to them. But you know, it's like there's something to be said about that level of content and the level of consistency that they're doing, and it shows in his viewership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you sign talent, the content creators.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with Blaze for many years.
Yeah.
We've managed different talent. This year, we've kind of transitioned the business more to the agency and tech side of things.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm not opposed of signing new talent when it makes sense. You
Yeah.
know, like we have the infrastructure to do that.
Right.
It just comes down to finding talent that works harder than me.
Yeah.
So that's what you would look for. Just crazy work ethic.
I mean, if they're consistent in doing what they need to do, then my job is a lot easier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm out working the creator, or if I am not capable of, you know, bringing them certain deals because of lack of viewership or the lack of consistency, like that's always like a challenge.
Yep.
Have you guys ever thought, I mean, we looked through your stuff. You guys have a podcast. Have you ever thought of like creating some type of podcast network since all the big names that you're working with? Because I'm sure at some point,
someone
all
might
of these guys are going to start podcasts.
Not just getting into streaming, they're also going to want to start their own podcast as well, which a lot of them do.
I mean, again, like if it's the right situation,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we did a bunch of episodes this year for the podcast. We put it on pause. We're working and speaking with potential partners next year to bring it back, potentially some sponsors and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, back to my point about being laser focused on things. Like when you try to do too much, you kind of spread yourself thin, and it's like I had to look at like what we were doing and kind of like take a step back. Yeah. And be like, yeah, we could do a podcast all day long. I could manage 10 people and do this and that, but it's like, what's the one thing I really want to be great at? That's like the bread and butter of the business. And that's why I was like, you know what, let's reshape, just like, you know, pivot a little bit and focus on the marketing stuff and everything that we do for big brands, big artists. Yeah. But again, like we still deal with talent. It just needs to make sense.
Yeah. We talked a little bit off camera about, I know we'll wrap soon, but we talked a little bit off camera about, you know, how you've been growing all these brands, haven't really focused too much on the personal brand. If you were to grow your personal brand, what would you like want people to think about you when they came to your profile?
Just like, you know, I'm just like a dude that from the East Coast that works super hard and is super real. Yeah. You know, nothing was given to me. Everything's been earned.
Yeah.
So I really like Gary V, and I told you I spoke to his team today, and it's like, you know, it's just like he's a prime example of kind of like a similar vibe of like who I am, but obviously a bit different in our backgrounds. But I like, you know, I like how he keeps it real. Some people like have a thing against him for whatever reason, but you know, I like how he keeps it real, and he's super honest and has a lot of great advice for entrepreneurs and CEOs and you know, people that are trying to come up.
Yeah. What advice would you have for like a young entrepreneur trying to, you know, make something out of his life and start something and follow an idea, a passion that came to him, or a girl, whoever?
Yeah, I mean, it's like what I've been saying, man. It's like consistency is literally everything. You know, communication is everything. You know, being real and not holding things back and really just, you know, going for it. Like, you know, you guys are out here. I did the same shit, right? Like, it's like you all come out here for a dream, for a goal. Like, only thing stopping you is yourself. Yeah. So it's like it's really up to the person to really want it. You know, it's like people say they want shit, but like, do you really want it? Do you really want to make that investment in, you know, in yourself or your business or coming out to LA and taking a risk? And you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gambling on yourself.
Yeah.
No secret sauce, cuz.
No.
This isn't like, you know, it's very generic information, but it's facts.
But that's why it works, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why like people try to overcomplicate things, and they think there's like all these like intricate things that you have to make happen. And yeah, sometimes behind the scenes certain things have to fall into place, but like the bare minimum is the work ethic, the consistency, taking risks, you know what I'm saying?
And
like,
if you want to cut corners, like, good luck.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I wanted to ask you, obviously before we cut, you know, you get the content thing. You've been in the scene. We haven't. I wanted to ask you, like, is there any stories that you can speak of without getting anyone in trouble of, like, just some crazy shit that you've seen, obviously being around these level of people and, like, in the who's who and being in L.A.? Is there a story that stuck out to you that, like, you were just like, fuck, like, this is the shit that really goes on out here?
He's like, how can I not get canceled?
I'm just wondering, like, in what aspect, like.
I mean, bro, I have no idea because I've never tapped into that space. I mean, he was in the Miami scene for a little while. You know, I just see, all I see is the stuff I see on social media. There is obviously I watch a lot of podcasts. People tell stories like, you've been around like pretty much fucking everyone. Like, has there been something that like you saw that was just crazy for you, like coming up in this space?
He's always around fucking big people, bro. Dad was fucking at the casino. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I guess.
I mean, you know, I don't know, man. I mean, there's obviously like being in nightlife and DJing, like there's always like, it's like pick your poison of like what is crazy, you know?
Right.
It's just sex, drugs, rock and roll, huh?
I mean, you know, I've been to after parties in LA. I've seen people get hit with bottles in the head and be knocked out, like scenes from a movie. But like, you know, in all honesty, I mean, nothing's really coming to my head that's like, holy shit. Like, I'm sure there's so many things.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know, everything is I don't know. Everyone I've dealt with has, to be honest, for the most part, has been super dope.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
Man, yeah.
That's great.
Like I'm not even playing. Like if you're doing the right business and adding value to people or businesses, labels, whatever it is, like, you know.
Do you have a famous a favorite person that you have worked with outside of FaZe Blaze? I guess that's who you kind of started with.
If you had to fucking send someone an Instagram clip and be like, bro, this last podcast, I thought about you.
I mean, there's been so many, man. Like, honestly, I just met so many dope personalities, and like everyone has their own story and their like trajectory to success and like and how they got there. Like everyone's so different, but like I will say, you know, I've met so many incredible people in LA.
Oh, well, yo, all right, you win an Oscar. Who special thanks goes out to?
I mean, whoever my team is at the time, right?
Yeah.
Like whoever, you know, there's so many people that help me build Game Over, and there's so many hands that have like been, you know, super supportive throughout the journey since I got to LA. But like, you know, like some artists are super into themselves, and some artists have been through the ringer and like are super humble. And I think it's really awesome to see certain artists just being so down to earth when they have so much like cultural relevance and impact, and like they could shift culture at any given moment, you know. So,
is there any artist that you're eyeing that you guys are targeting? Who's on your radar for trying to bring in to Game Over?
So this year we actually worked with we signed Murda Beats.
Fire.
Yeah, so we worked with him about getting his gaming initiatives off the ground, which was, you know, him and his team are awesome. Yeah. But like I said, like we're constantly working with like new artists. Like we're about to work with this artist J.Breezy. He's signed to a label called Black Noise. He's streaming like, I don't know, 150 to like 300,000 streams a day.
Yeah,
wow.
Fire.
So we're going to be working with him now the next 3 months, like really pushing him in the gaming space. But, you know, like Don Tolliver is another one we're working with next year. Yeah. We just worked with Big Sean for his like new single Precision, which is his album's coming out. It's probably top of next year.
Fire.
But like, you know, Kid Leroy's another one.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to just keep naming names.
Yeah, you're just a savage.
Yeah.
You're just a savage. Yeah.
You want to ask the
no,
famous?
just like, you know, I'm lucky to be, you know, in a position where, you know, we're just adding value to their releases and to them as an artist, you know. So
because you are helping them. You know what I'm saying? Like you're growing them in like a totally different space as well. Like you're bringing in an entire new community to this artist, which is going to benefit them.
Bro. I just want to. I mean, you know, back to the question earlier. I just want to help artists. I just want to help, you know, like just as much as I can and just provide value to their careers as much as possible. You know, like, and really do them justice in all types of marketing and experiences.
And when you say, because our end of podcast question, obviously the like self-help podcast, right? Like it's we always ask the guests like what you think your purpose is. I mean, that pretty much sounds like it. I mean, is there a deeper reason behind why you do what you do?
I mean,
is doubt something that has fueled you in life? Like what? I guess just like what fuels you. You know, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's always doubt in yourself. There's always doubt in you know, the fear of failing. You know, like that's always something that is relevant in my life. I think in many others, but I was an artist before I started my company. You know, so I've been through the ringer of what it is to not have a good experience in the music industry, right? So when it comes, if I could just, you know, say a few things to an artist, even if I'm not working with them, just like say a couple things or help them not make the same mistakes that I did or go down the same path that I did as an artist, or just, give a couple suggestions on what they can do, and if they run with that, great, but yeah, I mean, my experience as an artist is like definitely one to, kind of convey certain experiences to artists to not make those same mistakes, or not get into a situation where they're signed for 5-10 years in these long contracts. Or the game has been very artist it was like the contracts have been more artist friendly these days, and labels are starting to wake up a bit. So I just like, I just really enjoy being in the niche that I'm in, and being able to like grow artists and help artists get more eyeballs on their music and their brand.
Beautiful. Beautiful, bro.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on, bro. This was cool. Totally different like genre than we've ever really tapped into. We've never tapped into the gaming artists, like streaming industry,
You're one of a kind, bro.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist.
Like you said, like you're doing something that hasn't been done before, so everything you do is experimenting. So that is kind of cool, bro. So like this was really,
it just makes fucking sense, It makes sense, right? It's like it was content creation is what the fuck I chose as my career. It's so, and the reason why I chose it is because the average CPM is like $5-6. So you're telling me I get 1 million views on YouTube, I just made $6,000 fucking dollars. That's what you're telling me, and it drives me insane that people don't take it serious, So shout out to you, bro.
And then it's like, it could be higher than that.
Yeah.
After a certain point, a lot.
It's
higher.
only gonna get bigger.
Yeah.
Like from here, it's only gonna get bigger.
Yeah,
and it's like, if you're not doing content, if you haven't even started content in the last 2 years, bro, like you are so behind the 8 ball that I think like.
And then last thing for you is, I think this could be a good clip for you. Like, as an artist, do you think over the next 5-10 years, because back when how I had to make money was I would do videography for businesses. And a big reason why I would just despise, a business not taking me serious is like I would walk out their door like, good luck going out of business in the next 5-10 years. Like, do you think shooting content is going to be that important for artists?
Yeah, absolutely. That goes back to what I said about the multi-hyphenate artist, Yeah. It's not just about making music anymore. It's about being a content creator and making music and constantly being on both sides of it. It's actually like extremely challenging. It's harder than ever to be an artist right now, because the expectation and what you need to deliver on a daily basis, it's like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, because I mean, and like we'll wrap with this. Like I saw some, I forgot what artist I saw speaking about it, but he was talking about how all these artists like kind of make excuses of like, oh, like this platform or this guy didn't promote me enough or this or that. But it really comes down to like people genuinely fucking with your music. And like, if your shit is good, people are going to fuck with it. How do you think about that of an artist? This was an artist who made it that said it, because I'm not in the music game, but like they were like, yo, if your shit is good, like if your shit is really good, it's gonna work. Is that true or is that not?
I mean, the music is number one.
Yeah.
Out of anything, always.
Yeah.
And artists sometimes forget that music is number one.
Right.
And they want to worry about touring and this and that, but it's like, if your music is not top priority, is not hitting, then it's a challenge to get everything else that comes with the business to get off the ground.
Of course.
And then there's also like the artists that are a little bit old school that don't like, they're like against TikTok and against short form and all that stuff.
Yeah, which
But
is crazy.
as I'm seeing these new artists being signed, especially this year, a couple artists that we've worked with early on, we got them on the podcast and we've had them over to the Game Over House and stuff. These are multi-hyphenate artists. These are the artists that get content, get the algorithms, but also can make hits.
Yeah.
So
shoot fucking content, boys and girls.
Yeah, thank you, bro. This was this was good, bro.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you.
Thank
Seriously,
you.
thank you for coming on.
No, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe. The boys are hot. LA trip. Big guests coming soon.